stuff and it just doesn't move you. It just confuses you.
Yeah.
He promised me. He said, "No, I don't do that old 8-tone stuff, sister." And we've been friends ever since.
So what'd you think of it when you did see it? Did you think it
You
would
know,
be
a lot
everything?
of people say, and this is probably the question I've been asked the most, what's it like to see Susan Sarandon be in the film? What's it like to see an opera about you and you're not even dead? Because, you know, Madame Butterfly, none of them get to go see the opera. You know? I was so glad the story was being told. So glad the story was being told. And I know that I'm just an instrument in that story. And glad to be of service. But the story's much bigger than me. I'm like a prism, and through me, it takes the whole audience on the journey. It takes people into the journey. Because when I came out of that execution chamber, that first man I was with who was executed in the electric chair was on the night of April the 5th, 1984. I had never watched a human being be killed in front of my eyes before. And I came out, it was the middle of the night, and I vomited outside the gates of the prison. And I remember thinking, and it was clear, and I live out of it to this day. I guess my mission was born, you could say. The people are never going to get close to this. Because it's a secret ritual. It's done behind prison walls. People hear, oh, look at terrible crime he did. They go, ooh, and they're outraged over the crime where justice was done. Because they don't see it. I was brought in as a witness, so I had to tell the story. When I see the story being done in the fullness as it's done, nobody in that audience comes through unscathed. You don't come through unscathed. Even the former governor of Texas attended the opera when he was in Austin, and he did a very brave thing because he had signed warrants for executions, and he was part of the killing process, and he dared to come to that opera. And people who were sitting by him, I wasn't near him where he sat, said that at the end of the opera, that man was standing up, applauding, and tears were streaming down his face. It brings you there. And it brings everybody there. We all have ambivalent feelings because when somebody does a terrible crime, or when people hurt us personally, are we going to get even? What does it mean to forgive? How do you move on? When somebody's betrayed you, hurt you, or even, maybe even worse, hurt somebody you really love, how do you get past that? And so that's the story. And it's this universal story. It's for everybody.
When you first wrote the book, did you ever expect the movie and then the opera, did you ever expect your story to go like it has?
Are you kidding me? I'd never written a book before. I didn't know what the book was going to do. I mean, here's a Roman Catholic nun writing a book, comes out in 93. We celebrate, by the way, the 20th anniversary this year. It's going to be reissued. About the death penalty. Support couldn't have been higher than in the 90s. That's when we had the most executions. In Louisiana, when Patrick Saulnier was executed, those who supported the death penalty was 87%. I come out with a book on the death penalty, like, big whoop. We're going to change the death penalty. But it has played its part because it's a personal story and it takes people over to both sides. The opera takes people over to both sides. You've got to go over to both sides. In fact, in a very provocative way, the opera, because the opening scene is everybody witnesses a murder. Mm-hmm. So you're not using any moral energy. Is he innocent or not? Did he do it or not? You know he did it. And then you meet him and you don't like him. And he's not remorseful. And there's a part of you that just says, well, bring it on. This is what it's for. Look what he did to those innocent. You see these two innocent people being killed. And so, boy, you're in for the ride because then the journey begins. Everybody's journey begins.
Do you plan on being here this weekend for the performance? Or
yes, indeed. I'll be here Friday night. Absolutely.
Yeah. They also wanted me to ask you, it's not really off subject, but kind of is. They wanted me to ask you about Gary Haugen. I don't know if you've been following this case, but he recently is asking